Guys, well, good morning. Good morning. Big waves out there. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. And we, as far as I know, we do not have any birthdays today. And for some reason, that makes me so nervous because there's such a big group of us. And I'm like, and we're not 365. So it makes sense that we wouldn't have a birthday every day, but it still makes me a little nervous. So if I miss your birthday, it's not because I don't love you. I want to celebrate you. So, speak up, let us know if it's you or somebody on your team that you would love for us to talk about. But today we have a very special guest. I'm very excited to have Tracy Turnberg on here with me today. And we're going to have a guest tomorrow too. So keep tuning in, and then we'll have Coach back next week. If we let him back on, we'll just see. But the word today is mindfulness. And this was brought to us from Leanne. So thank you so much, Leanne. I appreciate it. And, I had to look it up. I mean, I love that so many of you guys come to us with words that I'm like, oh, I don't even know how to use that in a sentence. So we're definitely getting educated while we're doing this together. But what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is a quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. A mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment, while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. And it can be used as like a therapeutic technique. So love that. Thought that sounded like something I could use a little bit more of in my life, but it's just a type of thinking. So kind of digging into it a little bit more, it's a type of thinking in which you focus on being intensely, I love that word, intensely aware of what you're sensing and feeling in the moment. And I don't know if anybody else on here has panic attacks or has had a panic attack. I know that I have. Anxiety is not something I necessarily enjoy, but it is something that I have experienced. Elite and Renew help. So there's a little plug. But one of the techniques to get yourself out of an anxiety attack is to focus on your senses. So you're supposed to see, what's one thing I hear? What are two things I see? 3 things I can touch, 4 things I can smell, and you just kind of work to get your mind out of the crazy in that moment. And that's all I can think of when I thought about mindfulness. Like all you're doing in that moment to pull yourself out of that anxiety is practicing mindfulness. And so when I was looking into it, I'm like, well, why do we want to? Why would we want to be more mindful? Why would we want to practice mindfulness? Well, it's supposed to help with stress. And I think that most people that live on this planet experience stress from time to time. Like it's just part of the human condition. It helps with anxiety. It's been shown to help with pain. So if you've got some chronic pain in your body that you can overcome through supposedly being mindful, I don't know, depression, insomnia, high blood pressure, decreased job burnout. Who would like to have a little bit more enthusiasm getting up in the morning and going into work? And it's supposed to improve sleep. So I thought, wow, there's a whole lot of benefits around mindfulness. How do we do it? Like, how do we slow down and do it? So first of all, it's saying pay attention. And it can be hard to slow down. It can be hard to notice things in this busy world. But if you take the time to experience your environment with all of your senses, you can really become more mindful. And the example that I found was washing dishes. So, I washed a lot of dishes. I'm so grateful I get to feed these babies and clean up after them a lot of the time. And, so it was talking about, feel the warm water and the bubbles over your skin, and maybe the scent of what you're cleaning, or maybe the scent of the dirty dishes. But pay attention and be mindful in that moment, and can help you be more present. It allows us, next way we do it is we live in the moment. So try to intentionally bring that calm presence to every single moment. So if you're on a walk, listen to the birds, right? Or your dog's little toenails as they click, click, click away and remind you that you probably should trim those, different things like that. But if you just take a moment to live in that moment, you can be more mindful. Accept yourself. So one of the ways that we can practice mindfulness is to treat ourselves like we would a really good friend. And maybe not Tracy Turnberg, because, you know, between him and Brent, they treat each other a little bit mean. They're kind of teasy, I don't understand that kind of humor, but maybe a really good girlfriend, because I don't know, boys treat each other a little bit different perhaps. But think about how you would talk to your best friend in the whole world and what you would accept her to say to herself and what you'd be like, don't do that. So treat yourself that way. And then lastly, the last way we can focus that I went on how to be more mindful is to focus on our breathing. And we've done whole lessons, multiple lessons on how to breathe more mindfully. It's an interesting topic. You think it would just be natural to know how to breathe, but there is some training that we can do there. And if you slow down, take a deep breath, focus on your air as it, you know, moves in and out of your body, and it can help you be more mindful. So that's what I had today, Tracy Turnberg, but I cannot wait to be wowed by your lesson.
Well, first of all, good morning, Andrea. Thank you so much for having me on. Mindfulness, when you told me the word, I'm like, can you give me a word with more syllables for the simple mind to understand? And then I got to thinking about it. It's like a perfect word, because as somebody like me who has ADHD, I'm always on to the next thing. If I'm not interested in it, I can chase a squirrel like really, really fast. And it's one of those things that I've had to learn in my life is I have to practice being mindful, and being present in the situation, because I can find myself bored easily and then I'm not listening. And in our business, in our life, it's communication. And for me, the mindfulness is it's about intentionally being present, that you're aware of it. And I remember back in college, I took a communication class, and it was a communication class of listening. Like, I actually got college credits for listening. And I remember they did this video, and we had to listen to two different audio tracks while a video was playing. And this half of the room was assigned the female voice, this half was assigned the male voice, while this video, which had nothing to do with either of the audio tracks, was taking place. And the only way I could do it is I had to close my eyes, because if I tried to listen and watch something at the same time, I would get distracted by a skateboard. I would get distracted by, you know, the deer in the field. And so I closed my eyes so I can just focus on the one thing that my task was, which was to listen to the male voice. And it was about a 3-minute video. And then the professor walks around the room and then points to me and say, "Tracy, why are you the only person that closed your eyes to listen to that?" And I said, because I had to focus, and it's the only way I could focus. He said, "Well, what if I asked you what color t-shirt the guy was wearing?" I said, "Well, that wasn't the assignment. The assignment was listen, not pay attention and watch." And at that point I learned, like, you have to be present, but you have to focus. It has to be intentional. And anything that we do in life, anything worthwhile, if you're listening to a coach's corner right now, anything that you value in life has taken effort and intentional actions on your part to be great. Every relationship you have, everything that you value, whether it's your property, your business, all of these things are intentional actions that you were very mindful of as you created this. And I think that the key thing for all of us is when we're sitting doing business and we're having a conversation. I'm going to be honest with you. I am not a very what you would call sympathetic, empathy, compassion type person. And when you focus, if you look at the screen now, like mindfulness, and you look at all those different words, the word that we're talking about is mindfulness, right? And yet you're sitting there reading all the other little subtext words to it, and you're not really focusing on what's there. So it's so easy to get distracted in life on what we're doing. And so to me, this is the biggest distraction that we have in our life. And one of the tips, and this is a business tip for me, if I'm in an important meeting, my phone does not go on the table. It goes in my pocket. I stopped wearing my iWatch because that was a crutch for me to be able to be distracted every time it buzzed, because I know myself and I'm mindful of the fact that I can get distracted really easy. And if I'm going to get distracted, it's going to hurt my conversation. I'm going to get lost in things that are going on. Now, if I'm sitting around talking to Brent Palmer and the fact that it's going to take him about a month and a half to make a point, the way he speaks, that I can look at my phone and still catch up because he's still trying to figure out the end of the sentence by the time the point's made. And so I can always catch up to certain people. But I'm gonna pull a Brent. Don't get offended. I was just kidding. I was making a joke, because if it wasn't funny, that was a joke, as Brent always does daily on this thing. I do love Brent, by the way. But as you go forward, and as you think about this word mindfulness, throw the word intentional in there. Make your conversations, make your situation intentional. Because if it's intentional, if you want a good relationship with Jesus, it's got to be intentional. If you want a good relationship with your spouse or your kids, it's got to be intentional. And here's the big thing that I've learned being a coach of youth athletes. They will come and tell you stuff. And if you look at them like they're bothering you and they tell you something crazy, and then you kind of just tune it out. Do you know what those kids do on the next time? They don't come and tell you anything, because they pick up like, coach doesn't listen to me. My dad doesn't listen to me. My sponsor in this business doesn't listen to me. And so why should I go back to that well and look for help? Because they don't care. And even though we listened, we were there, but we weren't present in that conversation. So if you want a good relationship with your kids, even if they're talking about stupid video games, you need to be present and you need to listen and be there. Because guess what? That next harder conversation that's going to take place with about sex or drugs or challenges, abuse, those are things that they will trust you with, because they know that you will listen, because you were intentionally present and mindful about the situation. So for me, this word, because I am ADD and being that's self-diagnosed, because I just don't pay attention if things bore me. I also hate vegetables, if that matters. And that's also self-diagnosed. But the fact of being mindful for me really hit home for this word, because I had to think about it. I had to pun on, I had to be mindful about what I was going to talk about, because it was important to be intentional in coming here today. So Andrea, I don't know if that helped, if that made any sense at all. And I'm very happy there's no birthdays, because I do not want to sing on this deal today.
Oh, I wish we'd had a birthday just so you could be spotlighted to sing. Well, we'll make sure next time you're on. Tracy, that was great. Great reminder, great lesson. Thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much for being on here with us. We love you, and we so appreciate you joining us every single morning. We can't wait to see you back tomorrow morning with another special guest. So love you guys. Happy Thursday. Thank you, Tracy.
God bless.
Thank you.
Good
Have a
day.
great
Beautiful.